Hey everybody, this is it. The last video in the Ultimate Dragon Ball Iceberg series. Level 12. Popo Stool is what this one is called. I think that's a Team 4-star joke. But hey, thank you for being on this long ride with me. I had a lot of fun going through all of these, so finishing this up with level 12 is definitely very meaningful. Because I'm pretty happy to have a whole project completely done here, going through a whole iceberg. But after that, like I said, I've got other projects in the works, but that's neither here nor there. Let's jump right into this iceberg and finish things off with level 12. Vindar dub. The Vindar dub is what is being referred to for a unknown Dragon Ball Z movie dub of the Dead Zone. There's really not much about it. What is known is from a Google Groups post from a man named Matthew Somar. This would have been one of those Google groups where people can just dump information and talk to each other. They're not really popular anymore, but they were big back in the day. It seems like there were a lot of Funimation talent who did work on this dub, so it would have been Vancouver actors and some of the more notable ones from the Dragon Ball Z dub, but no one's ever talked about this. So we don't actually know what this dub entailed. It sounds like the script was somewhat different from what is known for Funimation or Pioneer Studios to work on. The only reason that people assume it could exist for sure is due to way back when there was like a card game of Dragon Ball that Pioneer was putting out, and one of the pre-released cards had the name Vindar's Palace, which was then later changed to Garlic Jr.'s Palace, leading people to believe that maybe this Dead Zone movie used Vindar for Garlic Jr.'s name before he became Garlic Jr. Now, like I said, a lot of this is just speculation with little evidence from what has been found. However, people are hoping that more information comes out given the multitude of dubs we have talked about and how they were only found some just recently. I'll leave a link below to the Ballish channel's post on the Kaizenshuu forums. In there, he kind of does a pretty decent breakdown of the whole scenario as he sees it, as well as Matthew Somar's old Google Groups post is in that thread as well. So give it a read. Like I said, this dubbing stuff has got my brain broken. It's very hard to keep track of what is what. Just know, Dragon Ball is a very popular title, and a lot of people have tried to dub it, and we aren't even done with the dubbing yet for this video. Kamea Sutra. Okay? This is very not safe for work. I have read this. This would actually probably be one of the earlier not safe for work, pleasurable Dragon Ball material that I have read. It's kind of gross. When I say pleasurable, I mean like what it's supposed to be used for. The content is a little messed up. It's basically Chi-Chi is babysitting Trunks and Goten, and then Goten and Trunks spy on Chi-Chi while she's bathing, and then Chi-Chi's very flattered by that because, Goku's been gone for a while, and Gohan isn't there to take care of her needs, apparently. So Gohan and Trunks do. It's very old. Like I said, some of the earlier obscene material of Dragon Ball I've seen in my life. You can find it very easily. I don't even need to link it because it is one of the more popular ones, I believe. But yeah, enough about that. That's all we really need to say about this. Toriyama tax evasion. So there was basically this big document released that was leaked online called the Paradise Papers. Not to be confused with like the Panama Papers, but is very similar in that it details large financial owners or businesses tax dealings when it comes to offshoring their money into accounts that aren't in the US. Why this would be frowned upon is that we as a society in America have come to agree that if you take part in society, in our economy, you have to pay taxes. To be a business, you have to pay taxes. And if you are taking the money you're making in America and hiding that money offshore in another country so you don't have to pay taxes, not only is that very un-American, but it is somewhat illegal at times. So this document leaked a bunch of people who were said to have hidden their finances offshore. One of the people for Japan that were, by the way, this is a worldwide document. This was not just like Japan or the US. This was like all over the world. So this is a very big deal. Akira Toriyama was named in these documents. Apparently Toriyama, he invested in some real estate companies, and that real estate company did some very shady things that the US government believed that the investors could be held legally responsible for the crimes of this investment real estate company. I don't know too much about it. Like I said, this is kind of a big financial crime sort of situation. However, it was from like 2015, and it doesn't seem like Toriyama has really been in any trouble because of it. And I'll be quite honest, from what I saw of the Panama Papers, a lot of very rich people tend to not get in trouble for not paying taxes. So I guess no one has to pay taxes. Animax English dub. Animax is a large anime broadcasting network that is very, very popular in Japan. They've actually broadcast exclusively a lot of well-known anime to their service. One of the animes they were trying to get dubbed was a version of Dragon Ball in English, but for the Asian market, so like Cambodia, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, that kind of area. Nothing really came of it. I'm not even sure if it broadcast anywhere, but apparently it says it did back in July of 2006. But there's no recordings of it. No one's found any footage of it. However, a voice actor by the name of Russell Waits put out a anime voice demo reel to his channel. And in it, there is a clip of him voicing General Blue. So it seems that this is related to his time with Animax, given that that's what he says these clips are from. He gives special thanks to Animax for letting him use these clips. So there would have had to have been a dubbing for it at some point, but there's no footage of it anywhere. Hopefully we can find some more like solid footage that isn't just like a 3-second clip. Like I say there's no footage, there is, but it's like, again, there's this 3-second clip. There's no large-scale footage, so we can kind of get a better understanding of what the dub was like. Dragon Ball Evolution reboot. So this comes from an interview from MTV News. They were speaking with Justin Chatwin, who's the main actor who played Goku, kind of talking about the future of Dragon Ball Evolution. Now, this article came out on the 3rd, just 7 days before the theatrical release of Dragon Ball Evolution to American audiences. So during this interview, there's a discussion about a script for a sequel to Dragon Ball Evolution, effectively Dragon Ball Evolution 2. I'm not hearing anything calling it a reboot. What I did find was a Mexican news article talking about this, saying that 20th Century Fox was going to reboot the Dragon Ball Evolution series into a trilogy, but I think this is a misunderstanding. What I understand is that there was originally just going to be a Dragon Ball trilogy when it came to the Dragon Ball Evolution movies, that Justin Chatwin and others were signed on for a 3-movie deal. He only did 1 movie, so the other 2 movies never came into existence. So I don't think this was a reboot so much as it was, this is information on there were supposed to be sequel Dragon Ball Evolution films. Apparently the script was also nothing like Dragon Ball. So if you were worried about, oh, maybe they could have fixed it, no, it probably would have been more of the terrible script we got. Even the director, James Wong, was like, look, I know that there is a script for 2 written, but unless this movie really does well. He didn't say directly, like, unless this movie does well, there will be no Evolution 2. But he was like, we need to, temperament our expectations for it too until we see how this movie does in box offices. So that's what this is in reference to. Again, if someone has an article or something they can point to that says there was supposed to be a trilogy reboot of Dragon Ball Evolution, the movie, I definitely would want to read it. But everything I'm seeing links to this MTV article stating, hey, that the original release was supposed to be a trilogy. The Korean English dub. Okay, so we kind of talked about this. Remember, like, a couple videos back, I think it was video 9 or 7, I don't remember exactly. I talked about K17, who's like a very prolific finder of lost or rare Dragon Ball media in Japan. Like, without him, a lot of this whole Iceberg probably wouldn't exist. Well, I attributed the finding of this kind of learning Dragon Ball dub game to Kai17. He is not the one that found this or has this. It was actually Pendoc, that guy who I talked about, who had like the most published, like, books and magazines and things like that, media of Dragon Ball. He has like a bunch of like rare and obscure stuff. He is the one that actually has this. It was actually K17 who just made a post that was like, hey, this exists. So, all right, what is this Korean English dub? This dub is like a educational VHS video using Dragon Ball. There's honestly not a lot known about it. There's no real footage of it having aired, although we have pictures of it showing it exists. Pendoc doesn't know where it's at in his collection, so he hasn't been able to like get it out to scan and give us more information. It's believed to be under the copyright of, and I'm gonna fuck this name up, I do apologize, Dongwa. He's the guy that apparently published the Korean version of Dragon Ball. So it looks like he made an educational VHS that maybe had some broadcast syndication. Again, there's a lot about this that is really unknown. And that's just how a lot of things towards the end of this Dragon Ball Iceberg are kind of gonna be. Just because there's just not a whole lot of research into it. It's very obscure. But there are pictures of it, and hopefully we'll find out more about it within the coming years. Androids 27 through 29. A lot of this information without Kai17, I genuinely don't think we would know much about. This is pretty much this series of things I would not be able to know without his post. So this is about some drawings done by Toitaro of an Android 27, 28, and 29. Here are the pictures of them. They're not anything legit. Apparently it's a joke he made in regard to how Japan numbers its hurricanes. This is what Kai17 says. They do them via number, so Hurricane 1, 2, 3. I guess it's a joke in that because the androids also numbered. He kind of went on and made some maybe themed after hurricanes. I don't really get the joke. It's very odd. But yeah, it's in reference to these drawings. These will never be androids in anything. It's just some fun drawings Toritaro did. Toriyama is a Jehovah's Witness. Another debunked kind of fact, I guess, about Toriyama that got around thanks to, again, Kai17. It was rumored that Toriyama was a devout Jehovah's Witness, and that's why he gave up rights to Dragon Ball, because he felt that Satan was influencing him. This is like an exclusive Japanese rumor. I don't think US audiences really got this. This is obviously not true. Toriyama does not believe in religion. He doesn't like it. Toriyama has outright said in one of his books he does not believe in religion. So this is just a complete lie about Toriyama. There are people that believe maybe this rumor started due to Jehovah's Witnesses wanting to convert children to Jehovah's Witnessing and say, hey, your idol gave up this thing you love, so you should join us. I don't know if there's any evidence to that, but that is what we seem to have so far. Issei Sagawa reference. So this is kind of a dark one, guys. We're really talking about a murder, so, we're trying to take this with as much seriousness as possible. But in 1981, Sagawa was known nationally for the murder of a Dutch woman by the name of Renee Hartvelt. I'm trying to make sure I get everything correctly here. I apologize if I mispronounced the victim's name. I'm just very bad with names. Sagawa shot her assaulted her in a sexual way that goes beyond SA, if you understand what I'm saying, and cooked and ate a large portion of her corpse. He was arrested. However, he was basically kind of got away with it because he was found to be mentally unfit. So he was sent to a mental asylum and got out very quickly. So quickly, in fact, he was able to write a book about his whole experience. It's very, very messed up. And, if you want to learn more, definitely read into it. But why does this matter? In the Japanese version of Dragon Ball, Mr. Satan goes to try and stop Boo. And, it's a kind of a fun little event where Boo thinks Satan's attacks on him are actually just presents and jokes. And they become very good friends. Well, in it, Boo gives Mr. Satan a candy that is made out of the humans he's turned into candy, to which Mr. Satan describes the taste as matari, which is like a mild, rich taste. This is what Sagawa referred to the flavor of eating humans as. It's a very specific word that only is used by people from the Kansai region. Kai17 goes into a short explanation of the dialect in his post about this finding. It does seem like this could be a reference to that murderer as a joke, but I don't think he, Toriyama is who I'm saying, I don't think he deliberately meant to say, hey, this is a reference to a horrible killer. It's more so he probably looked up what do people say the taste of human flesh tastes like, and just made a joke about how that's what the candy probably tastes like. Fukunaga Snipe. Gen Fukunaga is the president and founder of Funimation. Without him, we wouldn't have all of the great things Funimation has brought us and all of the annoying things that Funimation has brought us. Well, apparently his father is a professor at Purdue University, and kids there have a game that they've made, which is taking a picture of his father while wearing a Dragon Ball Z shirt. Apparently he must wear them pretty frequently for this to be a whole game that is being played. Like, using the Wayback Machine, you can see where, there is an article posted about how this is a game you can play on Purdue campus with other students. No idea how Gen's father felt about this game, but it is a game nonetheless. Gerald Jones. This is another one that is very dark and gross and disturbing. And if you have a problem hearing about someone who's owned CP, I would skip ahead to the next topic. Gerald Jones was an author and writer for a lot of different Marvel and DC comics, as well as Viz Media when it came to taking Japanese works and adapting the mangas for American audiences. He would do a lot of the writing for that. Well, in December 2016, he got busted for having CP files on a lot of different devices. This is obviously disgusting and gross. He pled not guilty at first, but it looks like in 2018, he did plead guilty to the charges as the devices were literally found inside of his house. He got sentenced to 6 years in prison. I believe he would still be in prison, but is pretty close to getting out if he isn't out already due to, whatever parole stuff comes up. But yeah, very disgusting. And the guy's an Eisner Award winner. So, this is kind of a very big deal in the American anime industry. Tsukio Makihari. I apologize if I pronounced it wrong again. This is a cult, Tsukio Makihari. Japan has a lot of cults. I'm not sure why Japan is so susceptible to cults. Luckily, this one doesn't seem to be, horrific. It seems to be very much a, hey, you can volunteer to donate, but hey, voluntary donations are the only way you can get to the higher tiers in our cult. They do a lot of looks like a lot of charity work and things like that. I'm not seeing anything that says, hey, they are a horrible cult that should be avoided at all costs, but they are a cult, so just keep that in mind. So why are they on the Dragon Ball list? Well, what practitioners of the cult believe is that if you can like give out light energy in your palms to like heal people or relieve them of their problems. Like this whole idea of like light energy, especially being transferred through the hands and palms of the hands. K17 believes that this cult could potentially have influenced some of the portions of the Dragon Ball series. There are scenes where Piccolo will transfer energy through his hands, or even in the anime and manga, we'll see scenes where characters use their hands, they glow with light energy, and push that energy into other people to help heal them of whatever problems and ailments they have. Ki-17 states that Takeo Kiyama was a believer in the Sokyomaki religion, and he is a scriptwriter for the Dragon Ball Z movies. We've actually talked about him on this Iceberg. So, it could be possible that the idea of healing energy or passing your energy through the palm of your hands came from this cult religion that exists in Japan, and I guess that's okay. I mean, it hasn't come out in any toxic, horrible way, so seems fine to me. Renaissance Atlantic. So we only know about this recently thanks to YouTuber Ray Mona interviewing an ex-employee from Renaissance Atlantic. In it, we find out that apparently Renaissance Atlantic at one point wanted the rights to Dragon Ball. However, they had a lot of issues getting those rights. Apparently, they were only really offered the rights for the film adaptations of Dragon Ball. They did not get the toy line rights, which tend to be under the helm of like Bandai. They always get the toy rights for a lot of this anime stuff. So because of this, Renaissance Atlantic felt that this was going to cause a huge problem with them trying to pitch a show to people, when if they can't get merch off of toy rights, what's the point of making a show? Like, again, we're talking about an era where shows and cartoons for kids were marketed to make money off the toys. Transformers, Power Rangers, like all of those were big blockbusters mainly because of the toys. I would highly recommend watching Ray Mona's series on the live action Sailor Moon video. I've not given it a watch yet. I've only seen the small clip from her second part talking about Dragon Ball, but it's a very good series, and I really think she deserves all the love and views sent her way. Hashtag DB. Way back in the day. We're talking like 96, 95. This is the early IRC chat room era. This was a chat room that had a ton of the OG Dragon Ball fan community members, like kind of first came up in. So a lot of the websites we talked about that were like old websites got their start, or, you know, a lot of their founding members were on this website. It was the OG place of OGs for anyone who was in the early Dragon Ball fan community. However, as we've talked about with a lot of these old online user groups, the advancements in technology kind of made them not so sustainable, or better options came away. And that's also to say that a lot of these old IRC groups weren't very sustainable. A lot of people were housing this kind of stuff on, you know, private servers and things like that they just let the public have access to. So, you know, it's just a piece of Dragon Ball history that honestly is the founder of all of these kind of documentation, lore, and discussion sites that we know and love to this day. So, you know, without it, who knows, we might not have the Kaizenshu forums. Hyperdimension promo VHS tape. This is apparently some merch that Pekindok says that he has in his collection. It's of an old VHS tape for Dragon Ball Hyperdimension, which I assume, given that this is a VHS tape, was probably for the SNES Dragon Ball Hyperdimension game that was like a fusion of two. I believe that one was the one that was a fusion of two different NES games for the Super Nintendo. So there was some sort of promotional event that you could, you know, sign up for and potentially win a VHS tape of Dragon Ball Hyperdimension. I don't know what it was. I don't know what the content is. Pekindok hasn't really shown anything of it that I was able to find. So hopefully more of this lost media gets uploaded somewhere so we all have access to it and can learn more. Why they call Dr. Rhoda Doctor? Who's Dr. Rhoda? Do you remember this guy, this pig guy from Dragon Ball Super who did nothing and was irrelevant and Who cares? Well, in the manga and in the anime, it's said that he is a doctor. Why is he a doctor? Oh, apparently because of his powers. But we don't know, like, what that means because he gets eliminated very, very quickly in the Tournament of Power. So, you know, it's a question in the community. Why do they call Dr. Road a doctor? Some people believe it's due to his powers. Some think his powers involve sorcery of some kind, but we genuinely don't know. That's really only in the manga. So, cool. And finally, on our list, I did zero research for this one because I knew this, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, this is 100% factually correct. And that is, Goku has never beaten Vegeta. This is factual. Every one-on-one instance that Goku and Vegeta have had, Vegeta has come out the victor. How? Let me explain. In the original Saiyan saga, Vegeta and Goku go one-on-one and they fight and they give it their all. Goku, uses his crazy Kamehameha blast to stop Vegeta's Gallic gun, or I forget. I haven't rewatched this. Remember when Vegeta gets blown up in the sky and comes down, he sucks? Or maybe it's after he's no longer a giant ape. I don't really recall. All I know is Goku is beaten and Vegeta won that fight. He's still able to stand. The only reason he, is going to lose is because Krillin and the others are there to kill him because he has no more energy. But Goku's like, no, let him go. So in that one-on-one fight, Goku could do nothing else, and Vegeta was still able to go. So Vegeta won that first fight. Later on, Goku and Vegeta have a fight in the Buu Saga with Majin Vegeta, and Goku, I guess, is a Super Saiyan 2? I forget. But they fight. Vegeta wins as Majin Vegeta, and Goku goes away. Remember that whole thing? Even though, I guess, Goku, held back on Super Saiyan 3, which he could use, Vegeta won that fight, not Goku. And in Dragon Ball Super, they had a one-on-one fight recently where Vegeta won, and it was treated like, oh, it's a big deal. Yes, Vegeta, I won! But it's like, no, Vegeta actually has a history of beating Goku pretty soundly. Goku has not beaten Vegeta in a one-on-one fight fairly. I guess in GT, you could make the argument that baby Vegeta was Vegeta, because it was just baby controlling Vegeta's body, so we should have access to Vegeta's skills and such. But I'd argue, since he doesn't really use Vegeta's techniques, he's just using his raw power, that it's not really fighting Vegeta. It's kind of like fighting a person who has an amazing weapon but has no idea how to use that weapon. So yeah, Goku's never beaten Vegeta. Goku sucks. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. 12 episodes, all talking about Dragon Ball Iceberg facts, and we finally come to the end. I don't know, it's an interesting feeling, having completed our project and done it all. Looking back on it, there are things I kind of wish I probably did a little better, especially after watching the highly controversial my twin brother H-Bomber guy, his video on, plagiarism. I really do believe I did my best here trying to source or talk about the sources for everything in my Iceberg. So if I didn't, I suck, and I guess I plagiarized, and I'm sorry. But if you want to know where I found a lot of this information, a lot of stuff was from the Dragon Ball Wiki, the Kaizenshu forums. A lot of people have posts for their theories and explanation. Dao of Wu has a lot of the more religious history when it comes to Dragon Ball. I used them, and they were very, very helpful for a lot of the information. I tried to not directly just quote stuff. A lot of what I did was a lot of summaries. I really want you guys to go and read a lot of articles based on this stuff, because those people spent a lot of time and effort kind of piecing together the whole framework for a lot of this, the knowledge of for this iceberg. So I definitely think they should, get a little bit of shine when it comes to, going into the deep dives of all this information. But I also want to thank you, the people who stuck through to the end. I'm not a person who's very confident in anything he does at all. I have zero confidence. But making these videos was nice, especially for some of the people that did comment on them. It really did mean a lot to me, more than you probably will ever know. So I do want to say thank you to everyone who watched and commented on these videos. Up next, I do want to do I know I was working on a Mega Man Legends video that just kind of was put on ice. I do want to work on that, but there are 2 other videos I want to do before. I want to work on an end of year video, which will probably come out after December. So if you want to hear from me about all the fun things I saw and felt throughout last year that kind of helped get me through it, definitely be on the lookout for that video. And then I do want to do a video on my experience with Fortnite. I do feel that there is a conversation that needs to be had about Fortnite for people who are around my age and have mainly written that game off as like a game for children. This cat is just like screaming for some reason, and I'm not. Oh, I guess it's dinner time for the cats. I'm sorry. I guess I gotta feed the cats. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Please remember to love yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Take care.